Religion has always been an integral part of life. All over the world, religion is a fundamental ingredient in society in one way or another, whether or not someone has a religion. Across the globe, over 120 countries provide constitutional religious freedom, and all global constitutions do make some mention of religion. In the United States Constitution, freedom of religion is the first thing protected in the First Amendment. On top of that, of the 45 words used to guarantee the 5 rights protected by the First Amendment, over 1/3 of those words, 16 to be specific, are devoted expressly to the protection of religion. In the real world, religion comes with a hefty amount of controversy. And that is to be expected. People arguing over who has the best imaginary friend can lead to some heated confrontations. In Star Wars, things are a little bit different. They aren't arguing over who has the fake or real God. They are fighting over who is following the religion of the known spiritual institution, the Force.
There's one all-powerful force controlling everything.
And as one watches and actually studies the films, when it comes to the Force, there is only one rightly divine group of followers. I am Jim Hoos, and this is The Sith Were Right. Before I get started with the discussion, I have to make 2 things clear. First of all, I will only be referencing the live-action and theatrically released films. This is just a matter of common sense. For a video, it makes sense to use the multi-billion-dollar film franchise beloved by hundreds of millions of people since the 1970s. It doesn't make sense to reference comic books that barely anyone reads, or children's shows from the Cartoon Network that was sandwiched in between reruns of the Powerpuff Girls.
Only on Cartoon Network.
And second, for the sake of argument, the Force and related iconography is the true religious entity of the Star Wars universe. In the Star Wars universe, the Force actually exists. We aren't talking about unverifiable stories about some blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby from the Middle East, or a guy that lived off of a grain of rice for 100 days. In the Star Wars universe, the Force is real. Whether the Jedi or the Sith correctly interpret the will of the Force is what is up for debate in this video. Here's a quick background on the Force.
It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
There are also some other facets to the Force as well. First of all, the Force has a way of influencing the universe.
Where is it going?
Don't worry. The Force will guide us. Finding him was the will of the Force. I have no doubt of that.
We also know that there are varying levels of the Force.
The Force is strong in this one.
The Force can be passed on to children.
The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. My sister has it.
As well as the Force can skip generations.
You don't just have power. You have his power. You're his granddaughter. You are a Palpatine.
Also, the Force just can't be accessed. Regardless of one's moral compass, the ways of the Force have to be taught.
You need a teacher! I could show you the ways of the Force!
What will happen to me now?
Council have granted me permission to train you. You will be a Jedi. I promise.
And with that out of the way, it is time to talk about the meat and potatoes of the argument. The nature of the Force. The Force by its very nature appears to be rather carnal. And this makes sense, as all religions are inherently carnal. And I'll show you that with an actual example. Now, seeing as how I am an American, and by default an English speaker that has no regard for any other languages, like literally, I refuse to learn any other word from any other language. When I go to a Mexican restaurant, I make it very clear that I would like a refill on my corn chips and cold tomato dipping soup. But anyway, with this video being in English, it only makes sense to use the primary religion of the English-speaking world, Christianity, as an example. In Christianity, and please keep in mind that I am paraphrasing, God sacrificed his son to redeem the sins of all of humanity. Think about that. God loved all of humanity so much that to save us all from our inherent flaws, he sacrificed his son to redeem us of our sins so that we may live in eternal bliss in the afterlife. And that is the sell job that gets people invested in the religion.
You want to go home and rethink your life?
I want to go home and rethink my life.
I admit, it is 100% accurate. You and I have been told this probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of times in our life.
Either way, you win.
I like to call that the Jedi version. You know, the interpretation that only studies half of the religion.
I know there are things about the Force that they're not telling me.
Because another way to describe Christianity is that God, an entity that literally created everything, in under a week, might I add, sacrificed his son for the sins of humanity. Did he have his son peacefully die in his sleep? Nope. He had him tortured for a good chunk of the day and then had nails driven through his wrists and ankles so he slowly died on a cross. Did I mention that this is the solution provided by the entity that can literally do anything? Hence his name God. But I digress. And back to the point, God painfully sacrificed his son to redeem humanity of its sins. Well, technically not everybody. Only the people that believe that this whole thing took place, and of those people that live a good, aka godly life, can cash in on this sacrifice. And that is what I call the Sith interpretation.
If one is to understand the great mystery, one must study all its aspects, not just the dogmatic narrow view of...
It is equally accurate as the first description, but it includes the whole story. It is the carnal truth of the matter. Once again, I did some major paraphrasing, but it proves a point. Religion is carnal, and the Force is no different. And because of that, it is obvious that the Force in the Star Wars universe seems to have a bloodlust. The Force is instantly available to draw from when Vader needs to choke someone.
Find the rebels' hidden fort.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Or someone else.
The fleet has moved out to flight speed and we're preparing to...
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral.
Or someone else.
Apology accepted, Captain Nida.
Or someone else. Force lightning is also readily available when Palpatine is fighting Mace Windu, when he is trying to kill Luke Skywalker, and when he tries to down the entire Resistance fleet. Heck, his granddaughter can also summon Force lightning since it involves killing. And let me make a quick distinction. Carnal doesn't always mean killing. Anakin was able to play with some fruit, because it led to one of the other carnal delights, aka a good old-fashioned game of...
Are you an angel?
Deceit is also a carnal instinct, hence why it is a power exclusive to the Jedi. They literally have their own mind trick.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
Speaking of the Jedi mind trick, there is something very unique about it when it comes to the Force powers of the Jedi. With minor exception, it seems to be the only Jedi power that is seen or experienced by non-Force sensitive people.
It's okay that we're here.
It's okay that you're here.
It's good.
You're relieved that we're here.
Thank goodness you're here.
Welcome, guys. Did she do that to us?
Yes, we see Luke lift his lightsaber on Hoth. We also see Rey floating with rocks orbiting around her. And even Rey talking to the Jedi.
In the heart of a Jedi lies her strength.
But there is something odd about all these examples. The Jedi always seem to be alone. I find it very convenient to the Jedi narrative that they supposedly have these Force powers, but no one is ever around to see them. And if we are talking about films in general, classic films like The Sixth Sense and Fight Club both have narratives revolving around a character having delusions,
I see dead people,
and then acting on them as if they actually happened.
You do not talk about Fight Club.
And the Jedi seem to have the same situation. They never really have a grasp around the Force around non-Force sensitive individuals.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't. What, you think you're some kind of Jedi waving your hand around like that? Mind tricks don't work on me.
Yes, I know it is an outlandish theory to even postulate, but it seems that many examples of Force powers by the Jedi are just delusions of actual powers. Quick side note. The one major exception to this, of course, is Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon saving Queen Amidala and her inner circle on Naboo. But then again, this is incredibly debatable. There is an obvious error sound made by the droids. If they were simply being moved by the Force, there would be no sound. All evidence points to a coincidental mechanical failure at the exact same time that Qui-Gon raised his hand. Also, let's keep in mind that other examples of Force powers by the Jedi can easily be discredited as not necessarily a use of the Force. Luke calling out to Leia from Cloud City,
Leia.
We've got to go back.
What?
I know where Luke is.
while it may be the Force, could also be an example of the equally unexplained phenomenon of twins being able to have a unique bond. Luke refusing to use the targeting computer while keeping his eyes shut and supposedly relying on the Force during the attack on the first Death Star seems like divine intervention by the Force.
His computer's off. Luke, you switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm all right.
But then again, he is flying down a straight trench, so there really aren't any obstacles, and thanks to the vacuum of space, there's nothing that would draw off alignment of the X-Wing. And let's be honest, these torpedoes make a 90-degree turn on their own.
All clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
Luke shooting these self-guiding projectiles is not some major accomplishment. And lest we not forget, we see Luke and Yoda both respectively supposedly using the Force to raise the same X-Wing from underwater. Let me reiterate, we supposedly see these two use the Force to have a spacecraft that can travel faster than the speed of light to overcome the obstacle of a few feet of water. Let me reiterate, we supposedly see these two use the Force to lift a spacecraft that can travel faster than the speed of light, overcome the obstacle of a few feet of water. Once again, a vehicle that can travel faster than the speed of light, which by the way defies the laws of physics, and this vehicle has other amazing technological innovations like a robot pilot, and supposedly this vehicle cannot overcome the weight of a few feet of water without the use of some mental gymnastics by someone that looks like they bought their clothes from the clearance bin at Goodwill. But then again, none of this takes away from the fact that the Jedi can always use the Force for their carnal activities. We see Yoda controlling objects while in combat with Dooku. We see Rey transferring her lightsaber to Kylo Ren when he fights the Knights of Ren. And of course we saw Rey use Force Lightning to destroy the First Order transport. But when it is all said and done, it makes little sense for us to try and justify why the Force is the way that it is. And while it is fictional,
but I've never seen anything to make me believe there's one all-powerful Force.
It is its own universe, and it makes little sense to use our own interpretations of our own religious deities and superstitions and literal forces to try and justify this particular Force in the Star Wars universe. And what we can do, thanks to evidence, is agree that the Force clearly favors the Sith.
The true nature of the Force.
And the clearest of this evidence is that the Sith have an all-encompassing relationship with the Force.
If one is to understand the great mystery, one must study all its aspects, not just the dogmatic narrow view of the Jedi.
And of course, unlike the Jedi, the Sith do not oppress their followers.
Must be difficult having sworn your love to the Jedi. Not being able to visit the places you like or do the things you like.
Attachment is forbidden. Possession is forbidden.
The Sith welcome everything on the natural and emotional spectrums.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities.
What could you give me?
Everything.
And come on, do the names dark side and light side actually mean anything? No one ever got skin cancer from the darkness, but light, on the other hand, has killed a heck of a lot of people. Also, people that die seem to go towards the light. Ironic, huh? The light is what leads to their death. Even implying that the names light or dark actually promote superiority over the other all comes down to bias that does nothing but promote an agenda without using facts.
Keep your eyes open, huh?
And need I remind you, Star Wars is the creation of alleged white male George Lucas in the 1970s. And not to generalize, but according to MSNBC, all white men in the 1970s were racists. So it is fair to say that George Lucas, who only cast one black actor, who happened to be a lying, cheating backstabber, might be a tad bit racist and use the dark side reference as a low-key racial slur. But to round things out, it is just blatantly obvious that the Force favors the Sith. The Force brought the Sith back from extinction.
My only conclusion can be that it was a Sith Lord.
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
Want proof that the ancient Greeks had a bullshit religion? Well, here it is. It is that their god, nay, gods, would have brought back their followers from nothing if they were real. Not only that, but Palpatine was killed by Vader. Kinda sad that in his last few moments, Vader turned his back on the right side of the religion, but anyway, Palpatine was dead. Like super dead. He fell down the long tunnel. And then the tunnel exploded with everything else on the Death Star. And he still came back to life. Not only that, he brings back literally thousands, maybe even millions or billions of followers. God damn, this guy belongs on the Mount Rushmore of religious figures. Well, not the religious Mount Rushmore of real religions with the masculine, homophobic, anti-women, Middle Eastern gods. But since he is fictional, Palpatine definitely belongs on the Mount Rushmore of fake religious figures, up there with the female gods, the multi-god religions, and animal gods. So if you don't mind, type F in the comments since Palpatine is a low-key greatest religious figure in all of fiction. And just to hammer the point across one last time, I have one final example to show that the Sith and the dark side are the tolerant and open-minded side of the Force, while the Jedi are closed-minded and literally force the Force on others. As this example shows, Rey was very clear.
There's no light left in Kylo Ren.
And to fix that, she literally put the light inside of him. Thank you and take care. Please hit that subscribe button and follow me on my socials.